All right, everybody. Let's have a little quick look here at some of these um, refresher exercises. I want to do a kind of a walkthrough for people who have not done a lot of Python in the past. So I'm going to take these exercises one at a time. Let's look at the first one here. Python 4 refresher exercises. There we go. So first one asks me to build a program that asks for username and password, checks if the username is admin and the password is banana pants. They'll get a positive message. If the username is correct and if it's wrong, they will get a negative message. So that immediately triggers that if statement that I'm going to be using some kind of if then statement here. So I'm going to make go file, new file to create a brand new thing. And remember, it's asking for the username and password. So that is my first two questions here. I want to know what is the username. So I'm going to use make a variable username equals, and that could be some piece of information here. You'll notice if you've done Godot before that in the past to make a variable, we would have to make var username equal to something. Python itself does not require the var in front of it, so you can just make a word and then make it equal to something. Now, I, in this case, want to ask the user for a piece of information. So I'm going to get some input, something we haven't done before. So the input function will do the following. It will print out the message that I'm asking for. What is your username? It will print it out and wait for the user to type something and then return or send back that piece of information. So essentially what this does is prints out what is your username, waits for the user, they type it, hit enter. It then sends that into the username variable. So if I want to, I can then say like password is equal to input. What is your password? So these are a little bit like print statements, except they wait for and return the user's information. If I were to run this at the moment, quick save, just going to call this junk for me. It will print out what is your username. Notice it sits there and waits, and I say Jeff, and it'll say what is your password, and I will say secret, and then we're done. The program is all over. Now the program's actually still running, so that information is still saved. If I print username, you can see Jeff comes up, and if I print password, then secret comes up there. So it's taken that information and it has stored it in the computer's memory. So now I need to know if the username and password is correct. So I'm going for a if statement. If the username equals, and you might have learned that from Godot as well, this is the comparison operator. I compare the left thing from the right thing rather than the assignment operator where I'm putting something into a variable. If username is equal to, I think I said admin was the secret one here. And now I need to figure out if it's also equal to, and the password is equal to password. I could do this two different ways. I could do a couple of if statements if I wanted, but easier would be to use the Boolean logic. I think we've talked about also in Godot. So I could say, and if the password is equal to banana pants, I think I put in there. So if this thing is true and this thing is true, both of these things must be true for this whole statement to be true. So I'm going to say print welcome to the program, something like that. Else, if they're not, I will print go away. something like that. Now, as a reminder, just like in Godot, we format, our formatting is really, really important. So um, I'm going to tab in here. If I wanted multiple things to happen as a result of this if statement, I just keep printing you have access. Like so, otherwise print go away. So I can have as many things as I want. I just keep them lined up there using a tab preferably rather than spacing because good Python is looking for uniformity in your formatting. So if I now go run module, oh, I've got a syntax error here. Oh, I forgot. Looks like, oops. Let's open that one there. I forgot to close that bracket. Happens to the best of us. There we go. What is your username? And if I say Jeff and I say secret, it says go away. But if I run that again, and now I say admin and banana pants, welcome to the program, you have access. So there is our first solution to our first assignment. And I am going to just temporarily, so I've got these all here. I'm going to, I don't know, I'm going to, let's get rid of them. We don't need them for our purposes here. So let's have a look at the second one here. Build a program that counts to 10, but don't just use print 1, print 2, print 3, use a loop. All right, something we did not do in Godot because generally loops are considered bad practice in game design because we have a game loop that's always running. But here, I could certainly say print 1, print 2, print 3, print 4, and print 5 to count to 10 here. But I don't want to do that. I would like to use some kind of loop or repetition that makes our life a lot easier. So we have two loops that we can use in Python. Last year, we would have started with something called the while loop. So I'm going to say a counter equals 10. And now I want to keep printing out something. Actually, let's go the other way here. Counter equals 1 because I'm counting up. So I'm going to say while counter is less than or well, let's go less than or equal to 10. I'm going to print counter. So at the moment, here's how the while loop works. It's kind of like an if-then statement. So we basically have some kind of condition that is true or false. And it says, as long as this is true or false, keep doing it. And so it will do something, come to the bottom, go up and check again to see, is this thing still true? If it is, it'll keep on going around and around and around. Now, if I were to run this right now, counter is equal to 1. 1 is less than or equal to 10, so it'll just keep printing out 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Let's just to prove a point. You can see we get a million ones. However, we could now do something like counter equals counter plus 1, which is going to increase the value so that eventually counter will be greater than 10. And we get the following. So counter's 1, 1 is less than 10, we print it out, we add 1, now counter is 2, comes up, is 2 less than or equal to 10? Yes, it is. Print it out, increase it to 3, is 3 less than? Yes, and so on and so forth until counter hits 11, at which point in time it says, nope, no longer true. It will continue all along here. In fact, to show you, we could say print done. So I am now outside of my loop. You can notice by the indentation has gone back to the beginning there, and I can run this module. So you get that like so. All right, finally, number 3, build a program that, number 3, build a program that asks for a number and then displays the square root of the number. This one's a little trickier, and we were looking for your ability to use what are called modules. And since many of you have already done Godot, you should recognize a module is kind of like a node. It's got a bunch of programming built into it, and we can then import it or bring it into our program. So Python can do a lot of basic things, but it can't do some more advanced stuff. For instance, I can't take the square root of something very easily. However, there is what we call a math library, which allows us to have access to more math information. So the first thing I'm going to do is say import math. And this is a lot like from your Godot extends something or other. It's basically the idea of I'm bringing in some extra information I didn't have before. In this case, it's a math library. And once I've done that, I can say math dot, and if you wait it for a second, it'll come up with all of the functions, all of the things that are available in the math library. So we have things like math.pi, so I can get the exact decimal places of pi. I've got some cosine stuff, tangent stuff, all sorts of trigonometry things, a bunch of extra math you probably haven't done or won't do until university. It's all here, and there's even a radians, there's a power one, and things like that. So we also have a square root. And if you look at the Python math library, you'll see what all of these things do. So in this case, now I have access to that, and I would like to ask for a number and display the square root. So I'm going to say number equals input, give me a number, and then I'm going to say the SQR, the root of the number is equal to math.sqrt for square root of number. And then I should be able to print root. That's basic without any formatting or fanciness. Now there's going to be one little problem here, which I want to run the module and show you. I would give me a number. The number I'll do is 49. And I run this and I get an error. And always pay attention to these errors. Type error must be a real number, not a string. And we probably also talked about in Godot strings, taking a piece of information and converting it into a string. So if I print out number here, you'll see number is 49, but in quotation marks. And that's because the input statement always saves things as a string. So as the words essentially 49. And the reason for this is because it wants to handle any kind of errors. That way we can't put code in there. We can't also put, like, if I put 49 plus 5, and that would return 49 plus 5, well, the computer's going to want to naturally, if I said number equals 49 plus 5, number would actually be 54. It would do the addition for me and store the number 54. But what if I actually wanted the equation that the person typed in? Well, now I've lost that information. So for safety, Python always takes things and stores them as a string when we use the input statement. Now that's fine. I'm going to assume that they did type a number in. So I need to make sure that number is equal to the integer version of number. So I'm going to, what's called cast, I'm going to convert the string into an integer. We also have the ability to turn a integer into a string using the string function, or if we wanted to be safe, we could also use a float, which would be a decimal number if we wanted to. But I'm going to be happy with the integer right now. So now if I run this module, give me a number 49, it will give me 7.0 as the square root of that number. Now, we didn't have to worry about doing this conversion or casting in our previous one because we were going for usernames and passwords, and those are strings, and we wanted them as strings. So just be careful when you're grabbing numbers that you may need to make sure that you have converted them into the appropriate number. Also make sure if you want decimal numbers that you don't convert them into integers. That will get rid of your decimal point. So you may want to be safe and say number equals float number just in case they're looking for the square root of a fraction. So there hopefully is a quick little overview of those first three. Remember, we've not worried too much about number 4. That's more of something we're going to be looking at in this unit. But I hope that helps those of you who are new to Python and solve some of those problems and see why we would have done something in a particular way.